Hi everyone, Jason Bowers, financial planner, and welcome to my channel. So today's topic is one that I think is important to address. And that is when I find that people come to me and they're looking for guidance, they're looking for advice, they're looking for a financial plan, it tends to come with a little bit of stress and anxiety. They've been trying to do it on their own and haven't been successful. They don't like doing it. They don't enjoy doing it. Another reason could be they don't even know where to start. So the anxiety of, is he going to tell us that we did a good job, a bad job? He's going to judge us. We don't know this person yet, let alone like them or trust them. Like just so many unanswered questions. And they tend to believe that more questions are going to be raised than they're going to have answers. So the challenge is that stress and that anxiety comes from uncertainty, lacking of clarity, because clarity brings peace. Clarity brings that reduction in the stress and anxiety. People aren't stressed because they don't necessarily have enough money. They tend to be stressed because they don't know where they stand. They don't have a plan. If you start with the destination in mind and build from there, then you'll understand the process. You'll understand what the next step is, because financial planning is not a cookie cutter thing. Not everybody's walking the exact same path. We might all be heading in roughly the same direction, which is ultimately retirement, but all of us are going to take different paths to get there. And that path needs to be flexible, because if something in life presents itself that was not part of that plan, then it needs to be nebulous. It needs to have the ability to change. Financial planning is not predicting the future. It's making sure that you are ready for whatever the future presents to you. So it all starts with clarity. And how do you gain clarity as an individual? Well, the first thing, it's typically the hardest thing, and that is going to be taking that first step, making the decision today to reach out to somebody, to find a financial professional that's going to guide you down the path that you've defined with your goals. And that's the first thing you need to be clear on, is taking that first step. Part of that process, whether you're working with someone like myself or anybody else, their first step, and this is where you can tell whether or not you're dealing with somebody that truly has your best interest in mind, is, are they spending a lot of time in that first session or two, that discovery session, if you will, talking about your goals and helping you define those goals? Because sometimes we have some very loose, broad-term goals, or we have goals that maybe are rooted in limited knowledge, and then with more knowledge and education, then our goals would change. But your financial professionals spend quite a bit of time in those first few conversations really drilling down on what your goals are. What's important to you? Why is it important? How would you feel if you were able to accomplish it? How would you feel if you failed to accomplish it? Because understanding what it means to you and how important that goal is and what it's rooted in is important for someone like myself to understand the level of importance it is, or that the level of importance that it carries as we continue to plan going forward. Because I don't want to spend any of my time as a financial planner planning something and putting a lot of effort into something that's simply not important to my client. So I want to spend all of my time on the things that are important to them. But there are some times we're going to tell them that this thing needs to be important. Sometimes there's a lot of conversations we avoid because they're difficult to have. So while the estate planning documents may not be front of mind for everybody, if I'm doing a financial plan for you, they're definitely going to become front of mind because they're very important. Because again, having that plan is what reduces that stress, that anxiety, that feeling of uncertainty, that creates those feelings of uneasiness that we don't enjoy very much. And that's why we want that help. So starting with your goals is going to be the most important thing when you're developing that financial plan. And we spend more time planning vacations than we do planning for retirement. But retirement's one of the only things that we're going to go through in life that we can't borrow for, that we can't finance. We can finance a house and finance a car and borrow money for college. Heck, we can walk into the bank and get a signature loan to pay for just about anything that we need. But as of today, there's no such thing as a retirement loan. We have to self-fund that. And far too often do I meet people after they've already retired that, boy, do they have a lot of, if I should have done this, I would have done this, I could have done this, then life would be completely different. And I definitely don't want to live like that. And I don't want any of my clients to live like that. So creating clarity is going to give you that overwhelming feeling of peace, knowing that there's a plan. So what are some aspects of that clarity? What are some things that can help drive that clarity? Well, one, what I've spent most of the time talking about today is that plan. Not just a generic page and a half, here's your net worth and here's what your Social Security benefits and pension are going to be when you retire. That's just communication of information. But it should be some type of an analysis of, if you keep doing what you're doing going forward, this is what your projection looks like, and analyzing every aspect of your financial situation. But there also should be some analysis done around, if you make these changes, your situation is going to be better, and let me show you how it's going to be better. So understanding that as the initial financial plan, that's the expectation you should have. Not just communication of information, but some type of analysis, some type of work, some type of value that's brought to the table by the professional you're working with. Because look, if you're looking for information, you can log on to the Social Security website or visit your employer's website to understand what your Social Security benefits are going to be and what your pension is going to be. But they're not going to provide an analysis on when is the best time to take it. What pension options should you elect? I know most federal employees have up to 9 different pension options, and that can be overwhelming at times. So it all starts with that plan. The second piece to maintain that clarity is consistent sessions with your financial professional, making sure that they're sharing new strategies that may not have been available or relevant when they built the plan, making adjustments to the plan, tracking what's been implemented and what hasn't. But every session you sit down with your financial professional, if you're finding that it's all building rapport and talking about returns, are they really bringing any value? Have you sat down with your professional and all they've talked about is stuff that you could figure out on your own? Because if that's the case, those aren't strategy sessions. They're holding a meeting just to hold a meeting and check a box. They should be bringing value to your situation. You should be walking away from those strategy sessions thinking, wow, I didn't know that, and I'm in a better place because I do. You should have a confidence when you leave those sessions that you're in good hands, not just because the rate of return has been phenomenal that quarter, but because the person you're working with is aware of your plan, your ever-changing situation, and they're changing the plan as it moves forward. It's a good thing to have your ducks in a row, but that's not a rigid row. The ducks will move a little bit. I liken it to driving on the freeway, and having a car that doesn't steer but it goes straight. You can't even avoid the potholes or anything on the road. You just have to hit it and hope for the best. And that's definitely not a sound plan. But even in the lane of travel, you can swerve a little bit back and forth to avoid the potholes and create the smoothest ride possible by having a little bit of flexibility. So meeting with your financial professional, challenging them to present you strategies during every session so you walk away with more peace of mind and more clarity is key. And then the third thing is longevity of your financial plan. This person that you're working with during your savings years, are they going to be with you into and through retirement? Do they have your best interest in mind where they're going to be with you as you're saving money, but also as you're spending money? Are they only interested in working in ways that they can get compensated, like managing assets or selling insurance? Or are they interested in working with you from a more advisory standpoint where they can get compensated, but you don't need to buy something from them in order for them to be compensated? You can compensate them strictly for their advice. That's going to be the type of person you want to work with through retirement, where even if you're spending the assets that they manage, there's no conflict of interest there, that they were doing what's best for you. That long-term financial relationship, that person you might be spending decades with, you have to make sure that they're going to be the same person when you're in retirement and spending what they're managing versus the person they were before retirement when you're maybe saving into the accounts that they manage. That's something that's very, very, very important to understand. And if you don't know, get a second opinion. Reach out to another financial professional. Most people will have some complimentary conversations with you at the beginning to even decide if it's a good reason to work together or if it's a good opportunity for you to stay with the person that you're with. But that can be the most challenging aspect of those three to really uncover and to dive into is what type of financial professional am I going to have as I transition into retirement? And it really comes from checking those 3 boxes, knowing that person, liking that person, and trusting that person. Because you want to make sure that every single bit of time they spend with you is rooted in your best interest and not their own. And that'll put you in a position, again, to have that clarity and that sense of purpose when planning. You want to be intentional, you want to have a long-term vision, and you want to have clarity at the end of that process. You should walk away from getting your financial plan delivered to you and your recommendations delivered to you and the guidance around implementation of those recommendations, with the feeling of less stress, less weight on your shoulders, the confidence that you're being led down this path as opposed to pushed or walking blindly. Because you want to spend your time doing the things that you love. And there's not many people I talk to that love doing their own financial planning, that love handling all these decisions that they know are important. They just don't have the life experience, the knowledge, the know-how, or even the desire to want to answer them. So in pursuit of that clarity, make sure you find somebody that you can work with that you know is going to be around for multiple decades, and that will alleviate some of the pressure of making some of these very important decisions like Social Security, pension benefits, Medicare, things of that nature. And don't hesitate to reach out. Don't hesitate to get that person on the calendar. They should be meeting with you as often as needed to give you that clarity. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Walk away with challenging yourself to take action, take that first step, and use today's video as some type of guidance towards what that first step should be. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week.